Hello everyone and welcome to today's Chrissy B Show, and we are talking about culture and mental health today and how some cultures frown upon speaking out about mental illness. Here to help us explore the psychological ins and outs of this is our resident expert, Dr. Audrey Tang. We also have Helena Chard giving us a positive spin on a news story related to this topic on our segment A Helping of Happy. And after Anna Kennedy, along with performer Macauley Elvin, who's on the autism spectrum, is on to talk about the latest in autism news. And we also have a quick and easy recipe courtesy of resident nutritionist Severine Menem that's sure to perk you up. We then show you how we got on at the In Your Feelings event at City Hall, where we spoke about the importance of mental health awareness. And at the end of the show, I'll be showing you things that people do to fight stigma and educate people on mental health. Now, according to mental health charity Unite for Sight, as well as influencing whether mentally ill individuals experience social stigma, beliefs about mental illness can affect patients' readiness and willingness to seek treatment. A study conducted by World Mental Health Surveys found that in 16 countries, 22.1% of participants from developing countries and 11.7% of participants from developed countries experienced embarrassment and discrimination due to their mental illness. In some countries, mental illness is often thought of as going against social norms and can be considered shameful. Stigmatization of mental illness in other countries is also further heightened by the lack of appropriate care, counseling, or therapies for certain conditions such as schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. This means that individuals in dire need of help are often left isolated and further judged by society, which worsen their conditions. However, it's not all bad news, as some cultures, such as certain Native American tribes, recognize mental illness to be a completely normal aspect of everyday life and hence do not stigmatize this. But what do you on Twitter have to say about the topic? Dr. Javid says, unless we agree that every day is World Mental Health Day, transforming culture, destroying stigma, and a better future will remain beyond reach. Edwardian's Home says, being in a country and culture that applies humor on mental illnesses and the distress people experience from it adds up a lot on the stigma. Suzanne says, stigma fuels a culture of silence. So some very interesting thoughts there. So what does our resident psychologist, Dr. Audrey Tang, have to say about the mental implications of cultural stigmatization? Well, here she is. Welcome to the show, Audrey.
Thanks for having me, Chrissy.
So today is all about culture and mental health. Can you tell us how sometimes culture can be very detrimental to someone with a mental health issue?
You've got to look at the difference, first of all, between cultures where mental health is talked about, but there's still a bit of a stigma surrounding it, where it's a little bit taboo, and cultures who completely don't perceive mental health illnesses in the same way as we do. So the examples I would give you are, you've got the westernized cultures in Europe, and where you sit there and mental health is being talked about, it's getting better. This is a lot to do with the government, it's a lot to do with celebrities sharing their stories. There's a lot of support given. But then there's also other cultures, Ghana's a good example, Togo's another good example, where they still believe mental illness, the symptoms are caused by possessions, by spirits, by something slightly alternative or slightly different. If you take Ghana as an example, whilst, and this is research done by Human Rights Watch, they've found that there's a movement to educate people on mental health and mental illness, but there are still only about 14 psychiatrists for a population of over 26 million.
Oh my God.
So
you're joking.
What you're finding, or what they're finding, is that people are still looking at, say, the symptoms of schizophrenia, the hallucinations, delusions, and treating them by way of spiritual practice, because that's what they know, that's what they're used to, and they're not necessarily convinced to try any other method. There's also some weight in saying, well, sometimes those methods may work in that if it works for you, then maybe it's something that you can do. And it's a lovely quote from Cook. It's a piece of research by Cook et al. And what he says is, we do sometimes need to have a much more appreciative approach to mental illness and alternative therapies. And he gives an example of a case where a young man thought he was cursed, and he wouldn't eat, he wouldn't drink, and no amount of westernized styles of support was helping him. When they performed a ritual to remove the curse, he was able to start eating and drinking again. So even whatever anyone thinks about complementary therapies, alternative therapies, as long as it's safe for the person, there is something to be said for being accepting of other practices.
Yeah.
So you've got the two differences there. The context can also play a big difference in how people go and seek help for mental illness. So if in a family, and this is just within the family itself, certain behaviours may be seen as problematic, such as depression, that one might be, okay, we can go and seek help for that. We understand that can be treated. But something like ADHD, if that's not accepted, then it's very difficult for that person to go and get help. Another piece of research looked at people seeking help in America, and they found that the westernized Americans found that depression, anxiety were all caused by biomedical means. So they were happy to go and seek treatment. But if you came from an African American or a Latino background, what they would think it's much more to do with personal weakness. Therefore, not only is it a problem having a mental illness such as depression or anxiety, but you're not going to seek help for it because of the context in which you believe it existed. And another, which I also quite liked, was the role of religion. When you have a culture which has a God that is punishing, you tend to have less success in treating mental illness as you do compared with a culture with a God that is forgiving. So a lot of those different things can come into play. Wow. And another little sort of point which I thought, that's quite worth mentioning. Coping strategies, because those behaviours are different, again in different cultures, you might have a coping strategy in Asia which is very much stay quiet, don't talk about it till later, we'll keep it amongst ourselves. And the coping strategy in America and getting towards the UK as well is much more expressive. We need you to talk, we need you to express. But you put those two children together and suddenly you've got someone who's not talking and someone who's talking a lot. You've then got, could that one be depressed? Could that one have ADHD? Yeah, that's a real issue as well. All they're doing is they're coping in the way that they've been brought up to cope. So I remember when I told my parents about what I was going through from a Greek background, they'd never really, I'd never heard about it talked about in our culture, and it seemed like almost we did keep it very quiet. So none of the other family members, for example, knew that I was going for counselling, because it was like, in my parents' mind, it's like they'd failed, and my mum would be like, "What did we do wrong?" And I said, it's nothing to do with you. So it is difficult. Yeah. But then I would say, if you are sort of in a culture where it's not acceptable to open up, maybe even afraid to open up to family members, that's when, unfortunately the person has to go maybe secretly to their doctor and to get the help that they need, because they can't just stay there and do nothing. And also it becomes quite difficult when you actually look at the types of treatments, because if you have somebody who's been in a culture which is, say, a little bit more communal, something like Asia, Japan, China, where the society is the key factor. If you then seek help and don't really know what you're looking for, and you end up in something like psychotherapy, that may not be beneficial to you, because psychotherapy is much more about the person. It's quite egocentric. So you're almost changing the whole context, whereas cognitive behavioural and behavioural therapy can be a bit more adapted to the context in which you've come from. What I would advise in that particular case, if you've got no one else to talk to, actually is to start writing down some of those experiences, just so that when you do get the opportunity to speak to someone, you've got it all noted. Otherwise, you can be saying things, trying to remember things, and then it gets really difficult to explain to somebody who may be able to listen and may be able to help exactly what's happening to you. Brilliant. Audrey, thank you so much. Thank you. And we'll see you again next time. Yes. Now, everybody, with so much bad news being reported, we love to share happy news with you, and here to help us with that is Helena Chard in this week's A Helping of Happy. Welcome to the show, Helena.
Thank you, Chrissy.
So what news are we covering today?
It's been a very interesting subject, running through it all. So, because the UK is so multicultural now, and obviously things are improving mental health-wise, but it's still shocking to sort of see that stigma and shame is far more in certain cultures, and actually stops people from going to get help, which is such a shame. So it's trying to see how things can turn around and how we and everybody can be of help. Yes. So really great. Professor Dinesh Bugra, who's an expert at King's College London, he was talking about the biggest notion of shame really is in the South Asian culture. So he was coming from that viewpoint. So it's interesting to find out why it's such a taboo. Why is mental health seen as such a taboo? And also the Time to Change have got a report out. I think it's like 2010, there could be a more updated one, which talks about families' reputation and status. So there is just so much, that the man's a breadwinner and is top of the game and won't ever get help. And even women as well, they fear they'll be labelled as possessed. So, but quite an interesting thing is to try and get role models. And there's a lovely, I don't know if you know Monty Panassa, and he's an English cricketer, or should I say ex-cricketer, and he talks about shame and labelling within his culture, and he came out with his paranoia and anxiety because he could no longer do cricketing, but they really stood behind him. And he's now actually a mental health ambassador, which is fabulous, of the Cricketers Association. But lots of youngsters came to him and said, thank you so much for coming out and talking about it.
It helps, doesn't it?
It's really helped.
You're not just helping yourself.
No.
When you open up, you really do help other people.
So many people. So he's really inspiring. I mean, there are lots of other people as well, but just all the small intricacies, like people being fearful about, not being able to get married because obviously it's a big thing within the culture. And not even thinking of it as a medical condition. There's this, being punished for something they did in the past, and just bad parenting. There's so many things, and it's really quite sad. So just being able to turn it around, and so it's like superstition, isn't it? Yeah. And also language. Apparently, depression, mental health. There isn't even a word for it in the language. Yeah, so that's what I was reading. That's what he was talking about. Yeah, so that makes it very hard, and also it's a real obstacle to getting help as well if you haven't even got proper language. Yeah. And I think the language barrier. There was one particular case where I think it was an Afro-Caribbean mother and daughter that went to the doctors, and she said she had aching bones. But actually what she meant was she was really tired, and it was the daughter that spoke to the doctor and told him, and then eventually they realised it was depression. So that sort of communication barrier, it's really important, from an NHS point of view, that people can actually understand and can communicate. Yeah,
imagine if someone said she had arthritis or something, if they didn't actually communicate properly.
Of course. Yeah. So it's such an eye opener. And Yassir Abbasi, who's a psychiatrist, the good thing that he realised as well, which is the whole thing about talking to people, is that he had to actually listen to families and their beliefs, don't judge, and then work out what you can do. Because he had one incident where there was a young girl that had a mental health condition, and he managed to speak to what are they called? A spiritual healer. So a spiritual healer was involved, and he could also give mental health, and she overcome her condition, which was really good. And it was all about communication, which is
this
fabulous.
Is the thing, because if someone goes to the doctor and and then the doctor will say, or any professional will say, well, everything you believe in is rubbish, don't listen to it. It might be their opinion, and it might be other people's opinion, but that will just bring the barriers down completely. Absolutely. But if you don't have that conversation and actually talk about it and try and understand the culture, because it might not make sense to you and it might sound really strange to you, but for them, that's what they've grown up with, that's what they know, that's what their life is. So you can't just shut them down and say, no, this is...
Absolutely. Yeah. So really interesting. So the biggest thing really is to really target communities and increase awareness and challenge stigma, and I think really it's about community champions. So we spoke about obviously the cricketer, but Steve Kapoor as well. I don't know if you remember him. He was he's about 50 now, I think, and he's better known as Apache Indian, and he had the Boom Shakalak song out, and he's developed he's suffered with mental health problems all his life, and he's got in South Birmingham a college which is sort of like a music academy where people can talk through what they want to do, can express themselves, I think the word is, through speech and music, which is lovely. So he's a great role model. Not too sure how long we've got, but hopefully is that it? We have already. Oh, and there's lots of other role models, but that's the way forward, because then people can admire and we've got people to look up to.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is good.
Helena, thank you so much, and we'll see you again next time. Okay guys, so don't go away, because after the break, Anna Kennedy will be filling us in on autism news, and she'll be joined with singer Macauley Elvin, who's here to share what he's been doing for the upcoming Anti-Bullying Week. But first, according to the NSPCC, how many children per year skip school because of bullying? Is it A, 14,000, B, 15,000, or C, 16,000? Think you know the answer? Find out after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone, your TV program for all things mental health and well-being. Now, before the break, we asked you, according to the NSPCC, how many children per year skip school because of bullying? Is it A, 14,000, B, 15,000, or C, 16,000? The answer, unfortunately, is 16,000 children and young people. Now, here to talk to us about the latest autism news is Anna Kennedy, and she's joined by performer Macauley Elvin. Hello, both.
Hello.
Chrissy. Lovely to have you both on.
Thank you.
So, Macauley, you're going to be telling us a bit later on about your own experience with bullying, but also what you've done. You've put something together very special that's going to help other people and raise awareness. But let's talk to Anna first of what's been going on autism-wise and what the latest updates are.
Well, since I've seen you, Chrissy, I've been a busy bee as always.
Really? Why do I find that hard to believe?
So I was invited to the premiere of the A Word, the BBC A Word. Yes. That was shown almost 18 months ago now, and they are now doing a second series because it was so popular. So I went along to the premiere, and I can really see that Peter Balker, who's the scriptwriter, has really taken on board the autism community's comments that they made about the first series. Yeah. So the whole cast was there, and you know what? It's really, really good.
Was it?
I'm not going to give it away, but basically they've moved 2 years on. So you will see what's happening 2 years on in the life of the family. So yeah, so that's apparently that's going to be coming out mid-November to the end of November.
Okay,
so look out for that on BBC One.
Definitely.
One of our performers, Calvin Billington Glenn, who's on the Autism's Got Talent, we went along to Canary Wharf, and he got the Diana Award. So we were very proud of him. His mom was so proud of him. His brother was there, so it was quite emotional.
Okay.
And then the third thing that I wanted to tell you about was Autism's Got Talent Roadshow. So this year we went to Essex, and it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And you know what? You get the usual comments from the public, oh, we didn't expect to be entertained. And we smashed it, didn't we, Macauley?
Yes.
So Macauley was one of the performers.
Oh.
So what did you think of the show, Macauley?
I just loved it, you know, meeting my friends though who were actually there. Last time I did it for the first time was incredible.
Okay.
And
so you've done it before then? You've been in the show before, or is this the first time you've been in the show?
I actually found Anna online though when we tried to do the Autism's Got Talent.
Okay.
And I sent in my videos for like photograph and everything, like cover songs. And she just asked me, do you want to do the show though in London? And it was just an absolutely amazing experience because there's so many people who are on the spectrum though who are so talented.
Yeah. Were you nervous when you performed?
Not
Or was
really.
it when you start singing, it's like all the nerves go and you're just like...
Sometimes when you're backstage though you do get kind of nervous though, but when you're on stage then nerves just like
go.
Phew.
Wow. So it was an amazing experience. Oh, I'm so glad.
So what happens is we have the main show in May every year, so we're in our 7th year now. So I'm actually looking for some talent. So December the 31st is the closing date. So if anyone out there who's on the autism spectrum would like to enter Autism's Got Talent for our main show where we get 650 people come to watch the show. And then what we did last week was the road show. So basically I take so many of the performers around with me, and next year we've already booked to go to Liverpool in November, and apparently the theatre is something like 800-900 seated theatre, so it'll be the biggest we've ever done, so we're really excited about that.
So it just seems to be growing every year.
Honestly, and we've had acts, as I said before, from Sweden, America. We've actually had an act who's already entered from Australia. We've never had anyone from Australia before, so it's really exciting.
Amazing. Now tell us, Anna, what we're doing regarding bullying, Anti-Bullying Week.
Yeah, I've been working for the past few years on our campaign called Give Us a Break, and I've worked with the NSPCC, I've worked with the Anti-Bullying Alliance, young Ryan who came on the show who did his Tomorrow video. Last year we had our Give Us a Break, which is our anti-bullying. We had hundreds of people just holding up this. They wanted to, you know, say, look, bullying is not acceptable, and we even had celebrities, you know, that were holding up just to say bullying is not acceptable. So we want to carry on the campaign. And I was talking to Macauley and his family, and they spoke to me about their experiences of bullying, really. And Macauley decided he wanted to write a song because he didn't want anybody else to go through what he'd gone through. So Macauley, do you want to tell them a little bit about the song?
Yeah, I've written an original song with my mum, my producer, and it's called Hollow. It's basically about me getting put down as an artist, though, because in my hometown it's really hard for like local talent to get to where they want to get to, like the final and everything. And it's just really upsetting, though, to go through that hard, you know, development.
But you had some difficult times at school, didn't you, as well? Do you want to sort of share a little bit about that, if that's okay with you?
Yeah. I've actually had hard times in high school. I was picked on so many times. It wasn't just being insulted like by myself, though, but it was also people insult my family as well, which was really upsetting for me. I never wanted to go into high school after the times I went through. Yeah,
can imagine.
It was
how did you handle it at the time? Was it like, did you talk to your parents about it, or did you kind of like didn't want to talk about it?
Sometimes I just spoke to my parents about it, though, and they just said to me, just ignore it, though, and if it carries on, just tell the teacher. But then there was a moment in time where I just wanted to tell them themselves, you need to please keep your hands off me, though, otherwise it's just going to go further.
I know it's upsetting, but it's nice that you actually did something and you actually wrote the song, you know, to help other people and to raise awareness, because it is an upsetting time, because I've been bullied at school as well, and you know, and it's not nice. It makes you not want to go, and like it kind of takes your confidence away a bit. But would you say now that your confidence, since you've written the song, your confidence is back up and you're happier?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not just a song for me, it's for anyone who's ever been through that process, even if you have a disability, though, and people may treat you differently, because it's not really nice for people to be treated differently. It's just, we're all the same, though.
Yeah, but what's it like to have written your song now and to be launching it?
It's amazing, actually, because I'm right in the middle of finishing off my EP. I've written like a few songs, like one of them's on YouTube at the moment called Love by You, great track, but this one is definitely the best one so far.
Okay, oh brilliant.
What I wanted to share, Chrissy, is if possible, just to share a video about looking out for the signs if your child's been bullied, whether they're verbal or non-verbal on the autism spectrum.
Let's take a look at this, guys.
You can't always see the signs of bullying, and there isn't one sign that indicates that a child or an individual on the autism spectrum is being bullied, but this is something that you should look out for. Belongings that are getting lost or damaged. Physical injuries such as unexplained bruises on the arms or the legs. Being afraid to go to school, being mysteriously ill each morning, or skipping school, not doing so well at school, or asking or stealing for money to give to a bully. Being nervous, losing confidence, or becoming distressed and withdrawn. Problems with eating or sleeping, or even bullying others. These are signs that possibly there's something going on in your child or your adult who's on the spectrum's life. So, speak to them. If not, take some advice. It's really important because you don't want it to escalate. Nip it in the bud while you can. Some children who are non-verbal or may not be able to communicate with you, there are still signs for you to look out for. Physical signs like bruising, cuts, bedwetting, self-stimulatory behaviours, self-injury, or refusal again to go to school. As a parent of a child who has quite severe autism, you get to know them really, really well. So sometimes you can pick up the signs.
So very informative video, Anna, thanks for that.
Yeah, what happened was a lot of people basically wanted to just share and just their support, really, and what we had, as you can see the video, was me obviously talking about the signs of bullying, but also lots of parents saying, again, holding this and just say, look, give us a break. So we did it last year and it was so powerful. That's why I decided that I wanted to share it again, because a lot of parents still don't really know what the signs are. And you know, for my son Angelo, he's non-verbal, and I'm, you know, even like when I give him a bath and that, I always check over him just to make sure. It's just like, you just have it at the back of the mind because you just hear so many horror stories. So it's just looking out for your child just to make sure that, you know, nothing really untoward has been happening.
Macauley, just a question as well. For other maybe people that are being bullied, or kids that are going through a hard time with bullying, what advice would you give to them, do you think? What should they do?
The advice is don't stand down, though. Basically, don't listen to what they say, ignore them. If it keeps carrying on, go and tell a parent, go tell a teacher, go tell anyone. No, if you're struggling for it, please tell someone.
You don't have to suffer alone, do you? There's always support out there.
Yeah.
All right, okay. And future plans, Macauley? I know you're still writing more songs. Anything else up your sleeve that you want to do in the future?
Well, I've got a scholarship to Pineapple Dance Studio, thanks to Anna Kennedy. And it's amazing because we're thinking about doing a show, though, which is a bit of like a Moulin Rouge mixed with like Christmas Carol.
Yep, that's right.
And I've got the Hero Awards coming up, though, which is absolutely incredible. Thanks to Anne, though, who supported me, my family.
Obviously, everyone should be raising awareness about anti-bullying every day, but obviously we focus a lot of it on during the week.
Okay. Anna, it's been a pleasure as usual to have you on the programme. Thank you so much, and thanks for all your hard work, everything you're doing.
Thank you.
And making people like Macauley so happy and giving them opportunities. And you've done an amazing job, Macauley. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys, so don't go away, because after the break we have resident nutritionist Severine Menem giving us a yummy and quick recipe that's sure to perk you up and also answers your nutritional questions, including this one. I've heard that tinned foods aren't as good for you as fresh foods, but is this true? Are tinned foods as bad for you as they claim? Find out the answer after this break. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, and my show is all about improving your mental health and being happy. Join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 p.m. on my channel Sky 203. Visit chrissybshow.tv for more information and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Chrissy B Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chrissy B Show and on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone, the TV program that loves to look after your mental health and well-being. Now with us is our lovely nutritionist, Severine Menem. Welcome to the show, Severine.
Hi, Chrissy.
Lovely to have you on, because I love having food as well. I love you as well, but I love food. So tell us what we'll be making today and why.
So today we're going to have chocolate-coated strawberries, because
lovely.
It's always a favorite chocolate, Makes you feel so much better.
It does,
every time, yes.
Lifts your mood.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do we do this then?
So we're going to start with melting the chocolate in a bain-marie fashion.
Okay.
So it's very simple. You take a bowl and you fill it with boiling water.
Shall I get the water now?
Yes, please.
You carry on talking while I get the water. Okay.
And in another bowl, you place the chocolate cut in chunks.
Okay, should I put that in here?
Yes,
now?
please.
Okay. How much should I put?
A bit more, that's perfect.
Yeah, okay.
So you need enough water for the bottom, actually you need more.
A bit more? Okay.
The bottom of the bowl with the chocolate to be in contact with the water.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
And then it's going to start melting very quickly. As you can see, it's already melting.
I've always thought that you were supposed to keep this on the stove.
Yes.
I didn't realise that.
Whereas that's the way some people do it, but I've been told that by keeping the fire on, it cooks the chocolate, so it makes it harder. So it's actually better not. If you can melt it this way, it's much more natural, and it keeps the gloss of the chocolate.
Okay.
So you can see, it's already melting and looking very good.
Do you want me to keep stirring that one?
Oh yeah, if you can, that's great.
Okay.
So it should only be taking a few minutes, like 5 minutes max.
Okay.
Obviously, it depends on how much chocolate you're melting, but
yeah,
it should be very quick.
Okay.
Well, the chocolate, as you know, is the darker the better, as always. Lots of magnesium, zinc, selenium, iron. It's a really superfood. Superfood, yeah, for me is the best food ever.
Superfood, definitely.
Strawberry, very high in vitamin C, so very good for the immune system, especially in winter. Also, I love the colors, it's okay. And almonds and coconut, it's the good fats.
Okay.
So you can pick other toppings, but I love those ones.
This is done, Look, I'm very surprised.
That's what I
will not be melting chocolate on the stove anymore, Severine. Thank you so much for...
You're very welcome.
Look at that. Just all melted, no stove, just boiling water. That's amazing.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So now the fun bit.
As soon as it's ready, you have to remove it from the water, because otherwise it keeps cooking. and then it gets hard.
Under there.
So sometimes, depending on the chocolate, you might have to add a bit of fat, some also butter or coconut butter, you know, anything.
Okay.
But first, make sure that it's not, it's the right consistency, because once the butter has melted with it, it gets too liquid and it's not that easy to.
Okay.
So, and then you take the strawberries and you dip it. Do you want to do it?
Okay.
Good.
I'll do it. Okay.
So I'll take the spoon because you don't need it anymore. So you dip it, half of it, and then in the topping.
If it reaches the topping.
Okay. Where
It might get to my mouth first. Okay, no, it won't. I'll be disciplined.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Put it in both of them?
I would
just
say
the
one of each, but and then you leave it on the plate to dry.
It's pretty quick, isn't it?
It is very quick.
Oops, I think I dipped this one too much.
It needs, I would say 5 to 10 minutes to dry. Not to dry, to get a bit hard, but it depends, you know, on the temperature of the room.
This is fun to do with children.
It is really fun to do.
I'm not doing a very good job of dipping. I think I'm just overexcited.
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
That's okay.
Not great, but anyway,
okay,
it needs a little bit of practice,
yes,
everybody.
Good
but
idea.
Lovely
Wow,
jubbly.
that looks amazing. Doing great.
And you can put them on skewers as well, like they do
Yes.
in certain posh shops.
Yes, and you can add some other fruits like bananas. Bananas and chocolate is also a winner. Or some
Do you know, I don't
kiwis.
like bananas and chocolate. I just, I
You
don't know.
don't?
No.
You don't like crepes with banana and
I
Nutella?
do, but when it's just banana and chocolate on its own, I don't really like it that much.
Okay.
The strawberries is one of my absolute favourites. Yeah. Should we answer some questions now?
Yes.
And then we can carry on with this afterwards.
Yeah,
okay.
we can try afterwards.
Let's answer some questions. So there was a question before the break, Severine.
Okay.
And this person's asking, I've heard that tin foods aren't as good for you as fresh foods, but is this true? Are tin foods as bad for you as they claim?
Yeah, I'm afraid they're not as good.
Oh.
Yeah, because the tin or aluminium is leaching into the food, and they decided to use BPA just to prevent from leaching, and actually BPA is actually leaching as well. So the longer the food has been in the tin, or the warmer it's been placed, or the more acidic the food, the more of these toxins are in the food. So if you don't have any other option, then that's okay. But I would really stay away from tomatoes at least, because they're very acidic.
Okay. I was going to say, because sometimes that might put people off if they say they can't keep a few tins. It might put them off from buying, for example, things like beans. But I suppose it's better to have the nutrition from the beans rather than
I agree.
not at all, isn't it?
It's always
difficult.
better, but I mean, not all foods are very acidic. Like tomatoes, the fruits are very acidic, but then beans are not as acidic, so that's fine.
What about in cartons? Because or is that the same thing?
Well, I've been told that in carton the lining is also BPA for some of them, so you can look for BPA-free tins and cartons.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, next question. Are there any foods that are a great natural laxative? I'm having trouble passing food and medication isn't helping.
Yes.
Okay.
Nature provided us with some really great alternatives to medication.
Okay.
So that would be food high in vitamin C.
Okay.
For me, the first thing I recommend is a cup of warm water with the juice of half a lemon, the fresh juice, and do it for a week, and usually it really works well. It really helps doing it naturally.
What time of the day, or it doesn't matter?
Whenever you wake up, just the first thing, before you have breakfast, before you have coffee or tea or anything, because it really kicks off the digestion and helps with bowel motility.
Okay.
In the same idea, to have kiwis, two ripe kiwis before anything else, but not everyone likes kiwis. So I think
kiwis. Yeah, I do.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have enough.
Okay.
So, and again, it can take a while, 2 to 3 weeks, but it's very natural and it goes gradually. And also papaya, ripe papaya, but it's not always easy to find, and not everyone likes the taste of papaya. I don't like it, but I know that a lot of supplements are using papaya. Okay. But the thing is, most people are constipated because they don't drink enough water.
Right.
So they have to make sure to drink more water first, because even if they have fibers, if they don't have the water, then the fiber can't absorb the liquid, and that's why it gets stuck.
Oh, okay.
So natural laxatives are good, but you have to use, the
That's interesting, because there's people maybe that are having loads of fibre and they still can't go to the toilet and thinking, what's going on, what's wrong with me? But it's just that the water isn't there.
Exactly. You know, they drink, I know some of my clients, they make lots of effort to have a lot more vegetable, and it's great, and fruits, and they do a lot more sports, but not drinking enough water just make it like compact and not moving. And, even if they have like lots of kiwis or papaya, it won't move, because the problem is the hydration, the water.
Okay. I also heard that dates are quite good for making it. Well, actually, I heard because someone just said she bought a load of dates, and she goes, I've never been so regular, so she's really been going.
Okay, well, if it works for her. I never heard that, but if it works for her, then that's great.
I don't know why. Anyway.
Everyone is a bit different, but usually vitamin C is something that works. And also some people, they use vitamin C supplements. A lot of them is supposed to trigger diarrhea. I mean, some kind of, laxative effect. Brilliant.
And one last question for today, Severine. Can a glass of wine a day really be good for you?
Yes.
Asking a French lady about wine is
yes. Well, it is true. There are lots of research that prove that a small glass of red wine a day is very good, because the red wine has resveratrol, which is an antioxidant, and it's in the skin of the red grapes. It's also in the skin of blueberries.
Can't you just eat the grapes? And the blueberries is cheaper.
Yes, well, actually, I don't know, but the question is about red wine. I think there is an element of pleasure as well. And and they compared if it was red wine or alcohol, they compared with people drinking liquor. And they found out that actually, no, it's red wine, because they tended to be smaller and have a lower body mass index, and also less fat, around the middle. So it's really the red wine that is that does the trick.
Okay, brilliant. Severine, thank you so much. We're going to eat these strawberries in just a moment.
Yes.
And if you have any questions for one of our nutritionists, you can email us on nutrition@chrissybshow.tv. Now don't go away, because after the break, we show you how we got on at the In Your Feelings event in City Hall for World Mental Health Day, and I also give you some tips on how to educate people on mental health. But first, globally, what is the most stigmatized mental illness? Is it A, bipolar disorder, B, borderline personality disorder, or C, schizophrenia? Find out the correct answer after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone, where today we've been talking all about culture and mental health. Now, before the break, I asked you globally, what is the most stigmatized mental illness? Is it A, bipolar disorder, B, borderline personality disorder, or C, schizophrenia? The answer is C, schizophrenia, according to a study made by sane.org, which found that 23% of the complaints made about schizophrenia involve some form of over-sensationalized reporting. So some troubling thoughts there. Now, here on the show, we love going out to events and raising awareness of mental health. On World Mental Health Day, we went to an event organised by the youth of today, with speakers talking about the importance of fighting mental health stigma at City Hall. The event was called In Your Feelings. Hi everyone, today we're here at City Hall for the In Your Feelings event celebrating World Mental Health Day. So I'll be one of the speakers today, and I'll be sharing my experience with mental health issues and how I beat depression and other issues that I had. And we'll also be meeting some interesting people. So I'm really looking forward to meeting the other speakers and finding out what they have to say too.
To establish what Tough FC, the Unity of Faith Foundation football community does, how we help young children across London within their mental health.
Quorum is an international children's charity, really working with vulnerable children.
I'm here because I'm going to be performing, and I also just want to take in some of the information about mental health, live and learn.
So I'm here to share my story of recovery from anorexia.
We're trying to promote the conversation about how we can better engage young people in help seeking.
We come from Camden and Islington Mental Health Services in the community. We work with people with severe and enduring mental health problems.
So we're here to advertise what we're doing for both our members and the public, and our younger members as well.
We're here to fix the environments in which young people are struggling to thrive. And for us, that's really driving a systems change, mental health service transformation agenda.
What we aim to do is actually get more people talking, more people moving, doing something, and even if, for example, the person's not going through a mental health issue, but they can actually understand a friend, they can notice if someone's looking down, they can ask, you know, are you okay, do you need to talk, to get those conversations going.
I think the main thing I want everyone to think about this evening is actually there's things that can make this better for us as people who've got mental health problems, and the main things I think are things that actually we need to focus more on early intervention.
Events like this not only raise awareness, but they let other people know that they're not alone, that there's always help to find.
So many people are talking about mental health and there's loads of raising awareness going on, but actually we've got to have events like this to help keep that momentum up.
I think it's about the platform on which to challenge the stigma around mental health.
The stigmatisation still exists in society, and it will do as long as individuals aren't empathetic and understanding towards each other, you know.
So everyone, now I'm here with Precious Azubike, who's the project manager here, and she did a fantastic job putting this whole thing together. Precious, well done, my darling. You're amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. It was a great event.
So can you tell us, why was this event put together in the first place?
So we just kind of wanted to remove the mental health stigma from young people, and we wanted to introduce young people to be able to speak about mental health, to not see it as a taboo subject, but something they can talk to each other about, to remove that stigma.
So can you tell us, what was a highlight for you today?
A highlight for me today, I'm not even going to be biased, but it was the MHD Dance Challenge.
Ready? Let's go. 5, 6, 7 to the right, and right. And stop, and left. And stop, step back. And point, and wave. Go forward, and pull. And stop, and back. And stop, step back. And point, and wave. You know what?
It was really like, the evening was balanced with speakers, spoken words, so the creative side and the formal side. But the MHD Dance Challenge got everyone on their feet, everyone liked it, and it just was a perfect way to end the night.
Precious, this whole thing was very exciting today. What were your thoughts about the whole thing?
All the speakers spoke well, they all spoke about their organisations, and it was really quick, so no one got bored. The networking breakout sessions were amazing, the spoken words was amazing, and to end off with the MHD Dance Challenge was just absolutely phenomenal.
Fantastic. And what do you hope now for the future from this?
I hope for the future that the Chrissy B Show always comes to every single World Mental Health Day event, and I hope that everyone shares, likes, and comments, and subscribes to our channel.
Thank you so much, Precious.
You're welcome.
Well, everyone, it's time for us to go. I've had an absolutely amazing time here at the In Your Feelings event for World Mental Health Day. We met some incredible people, so it was absolutely amazing. And to top it all off, we got to do the MHD challenge, and it was so good. And I really hope it's going to spread the message even more now.
Thanks to everyone involved in the event, and if you want to do your part in fighting depression and mental health stigma, you can by taking part in our very own Mental Health Dance Challenge. It's simple to get involved. All you have to do is learn the dance, film yourself doing it, and challenge someone else to do it too. Together we can raise awareness and make a difference against poor mental health. But for now, here's some tips to help you educate others on mental health. And actually, this is from a blog, nami.org, and she's put together, or he, so I don't know if it's male or female, they've put together some things, different things that people with mental illnesses have actually said and what they personally do to actually educate others about mental health. So I found this quite interesting. So the first thing that's suggested is to talk openly about mental health. And Angela Christie Roach-Taylor says, I fight stigma by talking about what it's like to have bipolar disorder and PTSD on Facebook. Even if this helps just one person, it's worth it for me. And actually this is something that I do openly as well. You see, I don't have any issues with actually speaking openly about depression that I had in the past, the panic attacks, the OCD, because I think the more we talk about it, the better. The second thing that's suggested is to educate yourself and others. And this quote now comes from Sarah Bean, and she says, I take every opportunity to educate people and share my personal story and struggles with mental illness. It doesn't matter where I am, if I overhear a conversation or a rude remark being made about mental illness or anything regarding a similar subject, I always try to use that as a learning opportunity and gently intervene and kindly express how this makes me feel and how we need to stop this because it only adds to the stigma. So very important points there. And I think it's important not to do this in an aggressive way because you will only push people away. But if you do it in an understanding way, that will also help to get other people to understand the conditions. The next one is to be conscious of language. Again, very important. And this quote is by Helena Chard, who says, I fight stigma by reminding people that their language matters. It's so easy to refrain from using mental health conditions as adjectives, and in my experience, most people are willing to replace their usage of it with something else if I explain why their language is problematic. So very important there. Let's go to the next one. Encourage equality between physical and mental illness. Now this one is very important, and Megan Dotson says, I find that when people understand the true facts of what a mental illness is, being a disease, they think twice about making comments. I also remind them that they wouldn't make fun of someone with diabetes, heart disease or cancer. Very true. And the same way you would get help for a physical illness, you should also do that for a mental illness. Let's see the next one. Show compassion for those with mental illnesses. So this quote is by Rachel Wagner, and she says, I offer free hugs to people living outdoors and sit right there and talk with them about their lives. I do this in public and model compassion for others. Since so many of our homeless population are also struggling with mental illness, the simple act of showing affection can make their day, but also remind passers-by of something so easily forgotten, the humanity of those who are suffering. I think that's quite a brave thing to do, but imagine like receiving a hug when you really need one. And actually once for the show I can't remember what, there was a special National Day going on, and we went out and we did free hugs for people. And I remember two particular cases, a lady that I gave a hug to, and she said, oh, I really needed that. And looking at her, you wouldn't even think that she needed a hug. She just seemed confident, she seemed happy, but she was going through something, and that hug helped her. And then I remember also hugging this little old man. He was so cute, and he said, oh, I haven't been hugged for ages, and he was so happy. So little gestures, I'm not saying that you should go around hugging everyone, strangers or anything, but it's just something to think about, that, reaching out to someone that you don't know, might not know necessarily, can be really helpful for them. Next point that they cover in the blog, choose empowerment over shame. So Val Fletcher says, I fight stigma by choosing to live an empowered life. To me, that means owning my life and my story and refusing to allow others to dictate how I view myself or how I feel about myself. We're running out of time, so let me quickly go to the next one. Is to be honest about treatment. So Isabel Garcia says, I fight stigma by saying that I see a therapist and a psychiatrist. Why can people say that they have an appointment with their primary care doctor without fear of being judged, but think lack of fear does not apply when it comes to mental health professionals? And I've got time for one more. There are a couple more, but I'll just do the next one. Is to let the media know when they're being stigmatizing. So, I don't know if some media outlets would actually pay much attention, but it's always good to try. And this is what Kathy Smith says. She says, if I watch a program on TV that has any negative comments, storylines or characters with a mental illness, I write to the broadcasting company and to the program itself. If Facebook has any stories where people are make ignorant comments about mental health, then I write back and fill them in on my son's journey with schizoaffective disorder. Actually, let me do the last one because that's very important as well. Don't harbor self-stigma. Very, very important. And this quote is by Jamie Brown, who says, I fight stigma by not having stigma for myself, not hiding from this world in shame, but being a productive member of society. I volunteer at church, have friends, and I'm a peer mentor and a mum. I take my treatment seriously. I'm purpose-driven and want to show others that they can live a meaningful life even while battling mental illness. So that one's very, very important. Well, everyone, we've reached the end of today's program, but if you have a story to share, don't forget you can get in touch with us by emailing us on info@chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet us at Chrissy B Show or leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. And if you'd like to know more about me and the struggles that I used to have in the past but overcame, you can visit my personal website, which is mylifeafterdepression.com. Until next time, goodbye for now. And at the end of the show, I'll be showing you things that people... Sorry. I'm getting hungry.
Do we have a nutrition today?
Yes, and I'm having everything. 22.1% of participate...